So the video I made right before this one is a recap of all of my favorite releases from about the second half of 2021. A lot of really incredible music on that video that I really love and will be listening to for a really long time. A few titles that I sadly, by total mistake, missed, and I'll try to talk about those later. But there was one group of records that I didn't mention on purpose, and I didn't forget them. It was because there were so many of these releases, and it was something so interesting to me, and something so unique that I wanted to give it its own video and do it in some great detail. And to do that, I went actually straight to the source. You're about to see an interview that I did with the producer and director and label owner, and this wonderful producer wears many different hats in that company. So I'm really thrilled to present this interview with you. This is with László Juhász of the record label Inexhaustible Editions. And the music on here is incredible. Some of my favorite releases of 2021 came out on this record label. There's one specific one I'll point to from Violeta Garcia. I love this record so much. We talked about one of hers on Relative Pitch. There's also one in this incredible record label. Slovenia is so interesting to me. There's fascinating architecture, fascinating nature scenes, just the beauty of the country in all aspects, art, music, life, culture. I'm so fascinated by this country, and this record label has been a small window into that culture, and I'm so thankful for it and so excited to share this interview with you. And after you listen, if you're interested, please go to their BandCamp and check out the releases. Consider purchasing some, listen to it, or just get some familiarity with the Slovenian music scene. All right, take a look.
All right, well, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. It's really interesting for me to talk with you because I've seen so many new releases come out under your production, especially at a time when, you know, a lot of other things in life and in the world were really challenging and slowing down. It looked like you were really kind of speeding up and doing a lot of work, which I think is really cool. And that's something by itself I want to chat about, is just how you were able to do that work during such a tough time. But also just really interested in hearing about the musicians you work with and about the scene in Slovenian, just you know, some things like that. So I thought I'd start with your background, and I'd like to hear a little bit about you, your history, and maybe kind of like what things, like some kind of moments that led to where you're at right now, being a producer and working with you know, with recording business.
Right. So I'm a Hungarian living in Slovenia, in Ljubljana, and my original profession is I studied journalism and media studies. I worked as a journalist for 10 years, but parallel to this, I started my website, improv.hu or who, which is basically a online magazine for improvised music, experimental music, composed classical, contemporary classical music. And basically that's where it all started. This May is going to be 20 years that I started this website. And then after a while, I started to organize events, first in my hometown in Szeged, Hungary, then slowly in Budapest, capital of Hungary. Then I used to live in London. Actually, that's where I started the label. So it was in 2014, December, very end of 2014. And I was just about to move back to Hungary from London. And I had some savings, and I had all these fantastic people who I met there on concerts, musicians, organizers, venue owners, etc., label guys. And before the London years, I started these concerts in my hometown, and I invited many different musicians from different countries with different backgrounds. And I remember on the evening when I decided to start the label, I emailed two of the musicians that I hosted in Hungary, And basically these were the first two releases. They came back to me in 10 minutes, and basically everything happened so quickly, and I just had the first two releases almost with the music, with the idea for the cover. So this is actually, what, 7 years ago. So I was writing about music, I was organizing music, so the next natural step is possibly to publish music or to curate releases. And it started, it's really a small scale thing, you know. The first release, I remember, only 100 copies CDR.
Sure.
And then the next release, again 100 copies, but already CD, glass mastered. And then after the fifth release, I aimed 300 copies. And it started really slowly, 1-2 releases per year. And then maybe even 1 year, I didn't release anything. And then the numbers were growing. And then the vinyl version, you know, CDs were not enough. I wanted to try vinyl. And then actually we can get to this point what you asked, that during this COVID pandemic, everything was just going down, but it seemed that the label is doing well. There's a huge connection. I remember when all the lockdown came, and suddenly we stayed without concerts, without live gigs. But I believe people, music listeners, music lovers, they still wanted to spend money on music. So they started to buy releases. And 2000 March or April, when the first BandCamp Friday started. And you know, then just the numbers were going up and up and higher and higher. And then I realized that a lot of people are buying these releases. So then why not to release more? I mean, I never wanted to take out any money, but to invest to further releases. And now in 2021, last year, I managed to release 14 different titles, which is obviously very far from the beginning 1 or 2 per year. So it's a natural development, I would say.
Sure.
And slowly now I found shops, physical shops, who are selling the releases, because still until 2020 and 21, the main marketplaces were BandCamp and Discogs. I never really searched out for physical shops.
Yeah.
Because basically I'm releasing titles in 300 copies, which is not a lot. And you know, you give to the musicians. If it's a solo, if it's a duo, it's quite easy. But when it's an octet or a tentet, you give out all the artist copies, and then you stay with just 30, 40, 50 CDs maybe. But then I realized that BandCamp is going well, thanks to these BandCamp Fridays. And you know, the clients, if I can call them clients, they are totally nice by spending their money on that Friday. You know, they were waiting. And they knew that this Friday is the Friday when all the profit is going directly to the artist or to the label. BandCamp is not charging any percentage. So it was again a huge step. And then I decided, why not to release more? And you know, it's like a snowball. It's just getting bigger and bigger. More and more musicians and composers find you, that I have this material, what do you think, can we make a production, CD, vinyl? And
you know, it's one thing for the audience just to say you know, okay, BandCamp Friday, you know, but it's another when someone like you can directly tell a personal example of how important that day was. You know, I remember trying to explain to someone why they should purchase on BandCamp Friday, and they hadn't heard of it. And it's like, okay, so what? But again and again, I just keep hearing people tell of these really, confirming stories that show how important that day was for independent musicians or independent labels, things like that. So absolutely, yeah, it's quite a nice time that we had on those first Fridays of every month.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
So now,
and yeah, I just wanted to say that beside this online sales, slowly we discovered each other with shops. For example, in
sure.
Japan. I mean, Japanese shops, they are totally into CDs. They are totally into this weird music. And it's not a secret that they keep the label alive. I'm working with 4 different shops, and they just email me, I need 10 copies of this, 5 copies of that, 10 copies of this, and I'm just sending these boxes. And when I get an email from a shop from Japan, then I know that this income enables me to finance the next release, the next title.
Yeah.
And it's very important about the Japanese shop owners that they pay in advance. So it's not like that.
Yeah.
Okay, when we sell the CDs, you will get the money. No,
Yeah.
they are gentlemen. They offer you. I mean, they ask for a little discount, but it's completely normal.
Yeah.
And more and more physical copies I'm sending out to Japan, Australia, to the States, and I try to cover actually also Europe. There are shows that I admire a lot, and it would be an honor to see the titles, there also that they're selling.
Tell me, I was actually about to ask about those shops. Where are some of those shops in Europe? Are they like in a specific country or city that has shops that like this type of music?
Yeah, one of my all-time favorites is the Sound Om shop there in Milan, in Italy. And if you browse through their titles, it's a reference shop. What is there and what they are selling, that means something. And in France, Ex Metamkin, which is now running under the name Culticore Art, and in Germany, Anost. So there are 3 or 4 which I like to spend money with, and just like to spend time on their website and browse through and study and learn about labels, artists, whatever. And when I see the labels releases that they are selling, that's quite a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's last year when I was in Europe, it was really nice to see CD shops or record shops with full shelves, because here in US they're quickly becoming like a thing of the past. Go ahead.
Yeah, physical copies are very important. I mean, don't believe the hype with these digitals and downloads. I mean, I'm also kind of a listener and collector and listener. So I like physical copies. I like to touch, smell, open, read the liner notes, just put on the music. And when I started the label and decided to go with CDs, that was my theory, that if there are at least 100 more people out there who are like me, that we appreciate still physical copies and CDs and vinyls, then nothing really can go wrong. You can sell.
Oh, the liner notes are so it's like the most valuable thing in the release. I love ECM records, and those usually come with like books with them. And now they're finally on Apple Music. The music is, but the liner notes aren't there. And in my opinion, you miss out on a large amount of the finalized product when you don't get that. And they seek out, experts to write these real lengthy essays. There's bio notes, recording notes, and all of that disappears. Not to mention, you never know who recorded it, who mastered it. Like, all those people get kind of screwed out of their recognition on digital platforms. So I do love that the physical release where you can flip it over, see where it was recorded, who recorded it. It's nice information. So, well, with that, I wondered if you could give any preview of what might be coming out this year.
Well, a lot, or at least in the
Good.
plans. And in the plans, there are a lot of various things, collaborations with other labels, musicians who are returning to the label with new work. Since last year, I started to do this releasing batch of CDs, you know, because previously I did, okay, now it's arrived, I put it on the marketplace, and then I realized that the clients are a bit pissed off that, you know, they have to order things one by one. So now I try to wait that 4 or 6 releases are together, and then 3 times a year and 4 times a year.
Gotcha.
Batch, yeah. So basically, I supposed to have the last batch for 2021 out in November, December, but I decided to gently push them to January or early February of 2022, because I know how the pressing plants are busy and they go for a holiday around Christmas. They're not communicating, delays with the postal services and so on. So, I mean, running a label might sound romantic, but actually it costs you a lot of sleepless nights, you know, with when you're waiting and what is going wrong, and the delay with the production and so on. So I told the musicians that better not to have a stressful Christmas, and, you know, to wait and it's coming or not coming, but let's take it easy. And the beginning of 2022, we'll see a couple of nice releases. These are mostly on the website. Frédéric Tentelier, French, he's actually a theater guy who's making music, and very weird music, and he's still such an enigma to me. Frédéric, he's returning to the label. Last year we released a CD with him and Bruno Duplan, French composer, and he played the music, and now he's coming back to the label as a composer. Others are playing his music, and yeah, I'm looking forward to have this out and unleash to the world. And we are going to have in this delayed batch Berlin group The Pitch. It's a quartet, and they have this release with guest musicians. One piece is by Julie Reedy, Australian guitarist, and the other piece is with a guest string trio, quartet, actually, string quartet. So again, something really, really interesting. I mentioned Bruno Duplan. He's also back, but with the duo with Jill Sanson. That's again something to look forward. And we continue the collaboration with Canadian label Tour de Bras. These are duo recordings, and Eric Norman, who's running the label, I hosted him 2 or 3 times here in Ljubljana, in Slovenia. And then he had this idea that we should do kind of collaboration between the 2 labels. And these are duo recordings where one of the members is from Canada, and the other is non-Canadian musician. So we released 2 CDs last year, and in February we are going to come with the next 2. These are again interesting materials with Franz Hautzinger, Austrian trumpeter. He's one of the non-Canadian musician, and Laurie Friedman, bass clarinetist from Canada. They are coming with beautiful duos. And with Eric, we would like to continue this project, because it's, you know, it's a very good idea. You share the costs, but you double up what you put in the promotion. And you know, it's basically cheaper, but 2 times more effective. You know, how you promote, how you Eric is covering Canada and the States, me I'm covering Europe and Japan. So I think it's really good. Another nice collaboration with another label is coming possibly in the spring. There is this guy Slobodan Kajkut, who is a Bosnian guy, but he lives in Graz, Austria, and he's running this amazing record label, God Records. Mainly only vinyls, zero bullshit. Very, very strict guy with very different music, but it's still so typical God Records, you know, contemporary composed stuff, minimal music. And he just offered, this is actually a brand new thing that he emailed me today, that he's going to have a release and he wants to do the vinyl as God Records. And he asked if I'm interested as Inexhaustible Editions to carry the CD version of the same
that's
title.
awesome. Yeah.
So
really
these are all kind of very easy and very economical, and it's good. And I said, okay, why not? Let's go for it.
Right.
And we are both very happy about this.
Yeah.
And many more releases are coming in 2022. And when musicians are asking me recently, I just say that sorry, I'm kind of overscheduled, and I simply cannot afford to put out more.
Right.
I mean,
right.
If the label can put out 14 or 16 releases in 2022, that's already something. Some of the releases are coming in vinyl, which is
good.
Which is again problematic. A colleague of mine here in Ljubljana, Chris Ekman, he is running Glitter Beat Records, and they are mainly releasing on vinyl. And he just got a quote with 22 months of waiting time. You know. Yeah.
And where are you? Where are they being pressed at? Because I know, for example, a lot of the vinyl in US is ironically coming from Czech Republic. Is it the same for you guys, or?
Yeah, I'm working with Monotype Pressing. They're in Poland.
Oh, okay.
And they're doing CDs, tapes, vinyls, everything. And I'm working with them actually since the beginning. So now we are used to each other. You know, I know how they are working, and they know how I am. And these two vinyls which I did with them recently, the turnaround was just like 7 months, which is already a horrible lot. But now it went up to 22 months. Imagine that you have the music, you have everything ready, you just want to put it out, and still you have to wait almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, it is. I'm curious, with music like this, is there specific or unique challenges to pressing it onto vinyl? You know, because there's usually stereotypically there's like, a big range in frequencies. There's a big range in dynamics. There's sometimes a lot of silence. Have you encountered any problems with like mastering this for vinyl?
Oh yeah. Sure. Yeah. Last year we got the vinyl copies of the Lee Peterson Samuel Kutin duo album, and 2 times I got test pressings, and I found mistakes, small pops, cracks, which are not part of the music. It shouldn't be there. And you know how they create these plates which are pressing the vinyl. Right. There is a peck of dust. It can cause already a trouble. So we and then the test pressing is not good. Okay, you have to wait 1 more month to get the other one. Again, it's not faultless. Then correction again 1 month. So it took a lot of time, 7 months, but finally we got the right results. Yeah. But I still say that this music is mainly CD music. It's recorded this.
Right. No, I agree.
It's with this Lee Peterson Samuel Kutin album, I put on the vinyl, and then I put on the CD, and CD is just while vinyl is just something. And then at the pressing plant, I wrote to them, increase the volume. No, we cannot increase the volume because then the distortions are coming. So it's there are compromises with the vinyl. I know it's very trendy and hip, but this music sounds better on CD. To me, at least, to my ears.
I agree with you. I agree 100% with you. It's really, the vinyl lends itself to a real specific music, and because I was talking last year with someone about the mastering process, and I thought, man, I don't even want to get into this. And it just sounds like something I want to steer totally clear of. And then with the huge delays, I thought, well, I think I'll just totally cross this off. I was wondering if you could talk about if you try to balance out, or if it's just, you know, what happens about the kind of ratio between composed music and improvised music that gets released.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm more and more interested in composed music. And I started the label as, you know, label for weird stuff, mostly duos, electronic, electroacoustic, fully acoustic. But you know, we change, musicians change, labels change. So now I think the balance is like 50-50 percent. And composers and musicians, they really like this typical packaging style for the composed music series. I mean, they're there, but
I love this.
Take them. And it's very simple. It's very minimalistic. It's very elegant, and mostly like the music.
Yeah.
So yeah, for 2022, possibly again like half of the releases are improvised or improvised stuff or special projects, and 50% are by, you know, composers. And I would like to mention that the label would like to focus more and more on Slovenian artists, either composers or players, performers. And the label has this sub-label, Edition FriForma, and the FriForma events are basically concerts in Ljubljana, what we are organizing with my partner, and these releases are connected to these events. So musicians are playing there; they can present the album there. And last year I started this kind of composed music series also for Edition FriForma, which means either the composer or the performers from Slovenia. And we have quite nice materials and nice plans to put out in the second half of this year.
Oh, perfect. Well, that's actually a perfect transition to I really wanted to hear about the culture and the music scene around in Slovenia for this type of music. And because from what I can tell, it seems like it's a real hotbed for it. It seems that there's a lot of support and appreciation for modern music or experimental music. And I'm also curious because I am a little familiar with the music scene there, but I'm totally not familiar at all with the music scene in Hungary. So I would really like to hear kind of like a contrast or any comparisons between the two countries.
Yeah, I always do the same. I always compare Hungary and Slovenia. And yeah, it's important to know that in Hungary there's not much state funding for this kind of music. There are some bigger festivals, but you know, they are coming from this academic background. But what you would call an improv gig, you know, it's always a doorman, I think, with 10-15 people in the audience, which is completely fine because it happened in London, and it's even worse in Tokyo or New York. So it's cool. But I'm talking about the money that the organizers can provide, a decent amount of money for the players and not depending on the door money. And so this is Hungary, almost zero. But in Slovenia, it's quite it's a miracle what is happening here. I mean, there are a lot of organizers, a lot of producers, promoters, record labels, and they are doing their concert cycles monthly, and they get funding from the state, from the Ministry of Culture, and from the municipality, for example, city of Ljubljana. So you know about your budget for a year or even for the next 4 years. And then you can plan your program, and then you rely on touring musicians and you take them, or you can afford that. Look, I want to have this musician from London. I pay flights, accommodation, a decent fee. So you can kind of curate. You can have what specifically wants to put on stage in Ljubljana. And there are plenty of organizers and plenty of concert cycles, and it's really rich. And there's a nice scene of musicians who are doing this kind of music, and it's amazing. Now one generation is here actually for 15 years, but there's a new generation of players and composers. Those who are coming from the music academy now, and they are 22, 23 years old girls and guys, and they have fantastic ideas. And our task is basically to provide live gigs for them. And as we are talking about the label now, it's getting more and more important for me to, to record something with them and put out, because it's fine to have a concert in Ljubljana, but then it stays in Ljubljana, or it stays in Slovenia. This 30, 40, 50 people are coming. But what if you can have a CD in much more copies, and you can show it in Japan? New Zealand.
Absolutely.
So the scene is rich. I mean, people like to complain that it's worse and worse year by year, but it's still kind of incomparable to Hungary. And anyway, Slovenia is full of culture, and Ljubljana is full of culture. So it's really nice to live here and run a label from here. You get a lot of impulses.
Well, that's again a wonderful transition for two more questions. One is if someone is totally new to the label or to any of these artists, what are some titles that you would recommend to start with? And then a follow-up question for that would be, what are some artists in Slovenia that you think that the audience in US needs to keep their eyes on?
Yeah, regarding the titles, any of the composed music discs, basically, these are not hard listening. These are nice with the ear, and even for virgin ear, who people who are not used to this music, it's serious, and there's a statement and achievements behind it. But as a listening experience, it's completely nice. It's not disturbing.
Sure.
So any of those who are into free jazz, there are releases. Those who are more into the slower case improvised music, there are releases. I mean, I cannot really highlight one or two, because I love all of them, and they're very different stuff, composed, minimal, and the loud free jazz roaring. And people are asking me why is it so different. I mean, it's just my personal taste. It's a personal taste. It's not a religion label which is just releasing the same thing over and again. But things what I like, and I like so many things. I mean, I can find beauty in many different things. So why not to release? And so this is about the highlighted titles that I cannot highlight the title. And another question was Slovenian artists, either player or composer. Yes, actually, here we were talking about this release. I have it here. Maybe I can.
Yes, I was listening to that recently. Yeah,
that's Lee Peterson, Samo Kutin, and here Samo Kutin, who is hurdy-gurdy player. Amazing guy. Amazing guy. Highly recommended, and he has never been to the States playing, I believe. And in whatever context, he has such a rich vocabulary that he can play with anyone, in this improvised environment, or more this drone-ish with electronic musicians. He has a very weird word music trio called Shiram, and for example, Shiram, I can completely imagine in the States, even with the tour. It's such a unique, it's very typical European stuff, but not typical Slovenian. Interesting stuff. So Samo Kutin, I would really highlight as a Slovenian musician.
Is his hurdy-gurdy electric? Like, does he plug it into stuff too?
No.
Oh,
No.
wow.
It's
Okay.
it's fully acoustic, and it's
Oh, wow.
actually prepared. He removed the keys. You know, hurdy-gurdy has this. No, actually, here the keys, and here you're
cranking,
turning the wheel.
Yeah.
And he's not using the wheel, the keyboards, the keys. He's just turning the wheel and playing with the strings.
Oh,
There are
okay.
not many strings, but you know, it's still millions of possibilities there in this instrument. And he's using very, very long strings, string wires. And one end of the string is attached to the hurdy-gurdy itself, and the other end, 10 meters away, drum. So he's using it as a acoustic resonator, you know, to boost up the sound. So he's doing something here, but you can hear it from 10 meters away. And so no electric, hurdy-gurdy, fully acoustic. And still there are debates that hurdy-gurdy is coming from where. I mean, I always thought it's typical Hungarian instruments. And this hurdy-gurdy, what Samo is playing, it's from Hungary. It's coming from a Hungarian instrument builder. And amazing instrument, amazing technique he has. So yeah, he's highly recommended. And another name, if I can add, young composer, Tilen Lebar. He's composer and playing alto saxophone. He studied and now lives in Den Haag in the Netherlands. And soon we are releasing something with him, which will be a triple CD in a box set. This I didn't mention when you asked about the plans for 2022. Actually, 2 years ago we recorded a duo in a beautiful church. You know, this round church, Rotunda, in the northern part of Slovenia, and it's a duo with a Hungarian clarinet player and a Slovenian saxophonist who's still in labor. And it's mostly about the music and mostly also about the space where they played, and we captured the sound really nicely. So yeah, Tilen is a sharp player and a nice composer. He has very interesting stuff. So yeah, Samo Kutin and Tilen Lebar, totally recommended from Slovenia.
Great. Well, thank you. Last topic for you today. You are also curating and working on this Spomenic project, right? Oh man, I gotta tell you, there's only one other topic that I love as much as music, and that's brutalist architecture or Spomenics or things like this. I mean, I don't know, if I could be an architect, I think I would quit music right now and just be an architect. But when I saw that, I just nearly screamed because it combines my two favorite things in the world into one thing. So tell me how that got started.
Well, we have to go back long time. So I'm from Hungary, from the southern part of the country, Szeged. And every summer with my family, with my parents, we went to that time still Yugoslavian seaside. It's from the beginning of the 80s. So no Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, but still Yugoslavia. And you know, that time we didn't have highways. We were traveling 2 days to the seaside. And I saw this very strange futuristic structures, but when you are 4 or 5 years old, you don't know what's that, but it somehow stays in your memory. And then maybe 8, 10, 12 years ago, these articles started to pop up on Facebook or on social media, which are covering the ex-Yugoslavian, former Yugoslavian partisan monuments, these so-called Spomenics, which means monuments. Right. And then people started to get interested in this stuff. And, you know, in MoMA, they had the exhibition, more and more photo books were released, published. And then 2 years ago, the first year of the COVID, this lockdown, and we were just more and more forced to stay at one place. And then we started to think that, we should do a round trip in former Yugoslavia, and to visit all these monuments, not just to flip through the book and watch the photos, but to visit them one by one. And last year, in I believe in April or May, we started to visit the ones which are in Slovenia, because even though we couldn't pass the border, we could already travel in Slovenia. And then we started the one at Dražgoše, and the next one in Ilirska Bistrica, and already at the first one at Dražgoše. And when you step into a place and you feel that, wow, this might have interesting acoustics, you start to clap. Look how it sounds. And then in the very second when we approach this place, this monument, okay, we have to come here with musicians. Now maybe musicians, just one musician, and to record solos. So now the concept is, so far we recorded 4 sessions. This means 4 Spomenics, for these memorial sites. 2 in Slovenia and 2 in Croatia. And I invited solo players, mostly portable acoustic instrumentalists, portable instruments. So we had 2 cellists, 1 violin player, and 1 saxophone player. All 4 are female players, which I'm really proud about.
Sure.
That they were interested, and they got the idea, and they are young ones. So it's another generation. It's not the Yugoslavia generation, but it's they already they were born in Slovenia and Croatia, but they somehow got the idea, and they recognize that it's an art project, because there are a lot of political connotations to these things. These are partisan memorials, and each location is a unique adventure, to get there, to find it.
Sure.
Maybe you have to ask permission to record there. Or in Slovenia, in Ilirska Bistrica, we got the key to go down to the tomb, under the spomenik, again with beautiful acoustics. So the sounding spomenik project is about the sonic aspect of this.
Sure.
So not the visual, but how it sounds.
Right.
Because I think nobody covered this. That how is the sound there, and one we are going to make releases. So each spomenik with each solo player is 1 CD release, and one half of the release is basically the music, the sound, how the music sounds there. And the other half is just purely the field recordings, because all these monuments are, one is in the middle of the forest, in the middle of the nowhere, another one is by a highway, another one is in a city center. So what is happening here sound-wise in the surrounding, it's each unique word and sound word, and it's each different. So hopefully in the spring we can come with the first 2 releases, and then in the autumn we can come with the second 2 releases. So this is all what we recorded already last year. And then again during the summer we hit the road this year, and we are going to North Macedonia to record 2 Spomenics and 2 in Serbia. Now my kind of plan to have this project for 5 years. And each summer we record 4 locations. So in the end we will end up with 20 locations with 20 solo artists, and eventually 20 CDs.
That's amazing.
I'm wondering how people will welcome this project, but I think should be a success.
I would say, if you go based on how platforms like Instagram really captivated people who have never seen these places, or even brutalist architecture, they've never seen it before, and then a platform like Instagram just like takes you to those places, and then it becomes something you become really passionate about or a fan of, I think, you know, a lot of people really became like, you know, huge fans of these things. And I think, you know, if you like the visual aspect, you should be very curious about the other aspects of it too.
Yeah.
Last summer when I was locked down, I got that book on fuel publishing of all those pictures.
Spomenics.
And I was literally sitting there because I had just had a tooth operation, so I wasn't doing anything of any kind. So I was sitting there with my Google Maps open and looking all these places up and adding them to my want to go list because I want to see these things. So I've got, and the ones in Slovenia look to me like they were at the top of my list. That's the ones I want to see first because they look so cool. Oh man, I just want to see this.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes it's very surprising. It's much smaller than on the photo or how you imagine. But the last one, what we did last year in Jasenovac, which was actually the most brutal, you know, working camp. There, this stone flower, Barbogda.
Yeah, right.
He's the designer and sculptor. It was huge. It was just huge. I was totally surprised. Some are, you know, smaller than you imagine, but yeah, no, it's nice to visit, and not only to visit, but to have this project with musicians, and then to release. So now the sounds are okay. They are mixed and mastered, but each CD should have 2 liner notes, one by an architect who is talking about or writing about the structure, the building, and the other liner notes by a sonologist who is talking about the sound, what is happening, why it's happening, like that. So now we are working on these texts, and then hopefully in April or May we can come with the first 2 CDs.
Oh, I'm so excited. This is the coolest project ever. I'm really excited for this so much. Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. It's been really, I've learned a lot, and I really appreciate your time. So I really want to thank you for chatting with me about the label and about the music scene in Slovenia. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. It was fun.
All right. Perfect.
Thank you so much.